What's up, big legs? How we doing? What's good? Ka-chow. What's up, everybody? How we feeling? What's new? Am I loud?
Why was that on? It should not have been turned on. So some of you who were here from the very beginning may have heard at the very beginning that my computer went like doo-doo, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I did not press the button to turn that on. It turned on itself. So I have the button and I can do.
It makes that sound and then it turns into megaphone.
So what's the deal there, you think? What's the deal there? Why do you think it did it without asking? Why do you think it did it without asking? Well, I'm glad that I did have such a calm intro, because normally I come in with the "Be connect," but this time I was quiet and I just said, "What's up, everybody?" And if I would have come in with the big connect, that would have been cray. Well, welcome to Netherlad. We're glad you're here. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome, Hunter Fam Mom. Congratulations to Netherlad for claiming first today. All right, let me see. How goes it today? It goes good. What's up, Ed? Good morning, good morning. My coffee is almost ready. I tried to get it ready in time today. It wasn't quite there. It's nearly ready. All right. Coffee is brewed. The coffee is stored. The mug warmer is on. I'm here. What's good? Watched a 7-hour God of War Ragnarok cutscenes only YouTube video this weekend, and wow, I missed a lot during my playthrough. Very interesting. Heyo, the power of friendship. What's up, Cameron plus Deanna? Did you get your Iron Valiant this morning? I hope that you got it. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for the raid. Thanks for being here. Appreciate ya. Let's see if this coffee's got it this morning. Took like 15 Ultra Balls, blew my savings. Oh no! Gotta go on that quick ball grind, dude. I'm all about that quick ball grind. I'm not too ashamed to say I'll save spam just to get that quick ball the first try. Gotta get those crit captures. Austin John catches all of his in premium balls, and I gotta say, I'm tempted with shinies. Very tempted to catch all my shinies in premium balls, but I just don't have the patience to go back and do it again, especially after I've already gotten so many. 30 to go for the Dex. Congratulations, Chuck. Keep forgetting I can just run and restart the fight. Yep. Well, you can run. You could also save scum. You could save and then reload. It works as well. I don't know if it counts towards your quick ball runs. By the way, Haunter says good morning. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So interesting, you know, they're constantly working on updating Twitch and updating the Twitch chat and the Twitch chat features and things like that. And they've had it for a while where you can do the first time chatters, but this is new. Cameron plus Deanna, Humarwit, y'all are now raiders. So you have a special little raider tag happening right now. And that's not normal. I like that. I like that a lot. That's helpful to know. Helpful to know. I just like quick balls. Quick balls are just my favorite type because you just get them right at the very beginning. And you can typically get them in bulk at the, whatchamacallit. The tag is cool. It's definitely new for me. I have not seen that before. I remember when they implemented first time chatter and that was like a huge deal. But I love this. I know there's a lot of stuff you can do through outside sources and things like that, and that's also very neat and fun and cool. But welcome in, folks. We're happy that you're here. We're going to be talking about God of War Ragnarok today. Probably no spoilers. If we do talk about spoilers, we'll be very clear that we're going to transition to that part of the episode. I don't anticipate that because I feel like most people are probably still experiencing it. I don't know. It's been out a month, hasn't it? Definitely spoilers for the 2018 game. If you've never played the 2018 God of War and you don't want it spoiled for you, this might not be the Nerdy Sermon Talkback for you because it is definitely some pretty major plot point spoilers from that one. So, in full transparency, Ed, I have only watched the cutscenes. I've not actually played the game. And I didn't play 2018 either. They're not my style. Same. A lot of AAA games really are not my style, and so I end up just either experiencing them through a streamer, or I'll just watch the cutscenes if I think the story is what's important. I got to be real. I don't think that God of War is my type of game, and that's okay. I'm allowed. I'm allowed to not love every type of game. That being said, I do love the story, and I think it does some really great things. And the sermon for today is very much 100% about the story. Yeah. So, hopefully no shade. Hopefully no shade thrown on my fake gamerness. But look, here's the reality, folks. I have played. Hang on, let's check. Let's give it a look. I have played 106 games this year. And a lot of those, a majority of those, have been for Checkpoint. And so I'm sorry to say, I just don't have time to add God of War to my playlist. It's pretty rare, though. It's pretty rare that I'll do that for any of our games that we talk about. Let's look. Let me because now I'm curious. Let's look back at our nerdy sermons and see what ones we've done in the past. Games that I've not actually played. What better way to kick off the new? Hey. Sifu, I did not beat Sifu myself. I did not beat Elden Ring. Oh, but same with shows. There are also shows that I didn't finish that I talked about. Like I never finished Miss Marvel. It's still on my list. I never finished Xenoblade. Never finished Ring of Power. Let's see. I still haven't finished Blue Lock because it's still airing. I haven't finished Chainsaw Man because it's still airing. But I did finish the Chainsaw Man manga, and that was incredible. So yeah. I don't know. I have to be loosey-goosey with myself because if I start putting too many caveats on things, like I have to beat things before I play them, it's gonna just... We'll never get a sermon. They'll never come out because I'll always just be playing a game. I'm someone that loved the new God of Wars. I think it's really interesting that some genres people struggle when someone doesn't like them. Like, no one has questioned that I don't like 2D fighters or racing games. But if you don't connect with an action-adventure game, people think you're crazy. And again, I do connect with the story. I've actually picked up on something for myself. I don't know when it happened. I don't know when the shift took. I don't like fantasy anymore. It's not even that I like won't watch it or tolerate it or talk about it, or like I've lost my love for like the classic Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. But like, I'm over fantasy. I'm just over it. I'm so done with people in like cooked leather armor. I'm so over it. I'm so over chainmail. I'm so over swords and dragons. I don't know when the shift took place, and I don't know if we'll see another one, and I'll shift back in time a little bit, but I'm all future right now. I think Cyberpunk did it. As soon as Cyberpunk came out, I just noticed this shift in myself where I was like, this is my perfect genre. Blasphemer, I know. I think it is exactly that. I think it is exactly that, Whit. I think it is a overabundance. I think there's too much. There is simply too much fantasy. And arguably you could say there's too much space stuff out there, but I'm not talking space. I'm talking Neo. I'm talking future. I'm talking cyber-esque. Like, I want more stuff set on Earth in the future. I think that's what, and granted it wasn't on Earth, it was in space, but that's what, gosh, what's the name of the game? It was like one of my games of the year. It's one of my favorite games that I played this year. It was on Game Pass. What in the world? What in the world? Don't click on Epic Games. Nobody wants to click on Epic Games ever. No! Have you been watching the newer Star Trek series? So that is a real blaspheming point, is that I've never actually seen any Star Trek. Citizen Sleeper. Lower Decks, Discovery, Picard, Prodigy. I think I need to, because it feels like it's such an iconic show. I never grew up on it. That was one I didn't grow up on it. So I feel like I'm super late to the game. I'm down to experience it. My first experience with Star Trek was definitely the movies. The Bad Robot, the new ones. And they were good. But it's kind of like with the Doctor, where I feel like I've missed the nostalgia boat. I can't hop on the nostalgia boat. Some of the new movies and episodes here and there, but never really got into it. I've only seen the movies. I've never watched an episode. And I watched the Eccleston and most of Tenet of the Doctor, and I missed the boat. Started with Voyager. Haven't seen much Star Trek, but I know a lot about it. It's one of those fake, one of those areas. So one of the things that I said, we're really delaying today's sermon, but that's okay because this is great. Whenever I very first got into Checkpoint, back in over 2 years ago, we planted this church. I was very clear up front with everyone that, like, I've been on the internet long enough to know that Gen Z especially, but really just any internet digital native, will sniff out a faker immediately. And so I had to make a promise to myself and to the Checkpoint community that I will never pretend to know anything about anything that I do not know about. I have my interests, I have my passions. I'll always be more of a weeb than anything else. So if you want to talk anime and manga, that's where I'm proficient. When it comes to gaming, it's going to work out more towards Nintendo JRPG. When it comes to television, it's going to work out, again, more anime. So I'm going to know anime more than I'm ever going to know sci-fi stuff. That's just my passion. So, yeah. That was something I was super clear about. Anytime somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I really want to plant a church online. What should I know? Like, what should be the first thing I should do? And I was like, don't fake anything. Don't put on any airs, because if you do, they will find you and they will kill you. They will sniff you out of the woodwork and know that you are not genuine. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Because I'm the same way. I know when somebody doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm a digital native. I'm an internet native. And I can sniff it out, dude. I'm so into farming sims. I'm incredibly into farming sims. I'm a Harvest Moon OG. I'm super excited about the remake of Wonderful Life. That's my favorite game, like, of all time. I've heard about Of Rice and Ruin. I might even own it. Let's see if I own it. I would put money on it, but I don't know. RuneScape is a classic. So the fun news about RuneScape Is I definitely grew up in the right time. I do not. I'm so good. I grew up in the right time for RuneScape, but we didn't have internet. So being a digital native doesn't necessarily mean I'm an internet native, I guess. But I am. I grew up on the internet. I just was only allowed to use it at my dad's church. I've heard a lot about Rise and Ruin. It got kind of mixed opinions when it first dropped, and I think that was what turned me off from it. But I love the art and the aesthetic. I need to give it more of a chance. The Oregon Trail of MMORPG. Yep, absolutely. I definitely had a RuneScape account. Now, I tell you an account I definitely remember was my Neopets. I love some Neopets, dude. I think I was only able to ever log on, though, whenever I went to my friend's house. Osiris? Osiris? Yeah. It took me forever to realize that people were saying old school RuneScape and not Osiris? Like, Osiris? Yeah. Love it. Orly? All right. Folks, this is our Nerdy Sermon Talkback. We do need to get started into it. By the way, welcome in, Kamesy. We're glad you're here. We are going to watch our nerdy sermon for God of War Ragnarok together. You've been warned of the spoilers. I'll also warn during the video. And so that is going to happen. Really, the spoilers are pretty mild. Like I'm not necessarily, I do mention one pretty big plot point, and I mentioned some things about the characters, but nothing about the new game is spoiled. So you at least have that going for you. More than anything, it's a conversation about fate and destiny, because that's kind of what this game was about in a lot of ways. So if you're worried about even knowing about the theme of the game, that's the thing, but it's a good one. It's a good one. We're going to start this time with a contemplative song. So we'll get together with the... you finished the main story last night just so I could watch the sermon this morning. Sneaky! I appreciate you. And again, it's not a spoiler. You will get more out of it because you've done that. But it wouldn't have been spoiled for you. But yes, it will mean more if you've beat the main story. You will understand more about what I'm talking about, because I kind of had to veil some stuff in the midst. But yeah, you'll definitely enjoy it. I have a feeling. Cool. I'm glad that you're watching it for the first time. That's pretty fun. Yeah, so we're gonna watch it together. But first, we're gonna have a contemplative song. Our song for today is "It's Only Grace" by Matthew West. Classic oldie. Classic oldie. And so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up and make sure that everything sounds good. We'll listen to it and we'll go straight to our theater room from there, and get right into it. Love Matthew West. Yeah, he's a classic, man. I mean, it's a golden oldie for real. Matthew West feels to me, because I grew up with Matthew West, as like an up-and-comer. Like whenever I used to make fun of old people for talking about contemporary music and meaning like Paul Baloche and stuff, and I would be like, Paul Baloche is old, dude. Matthew West is old. Matthew West is old. He just is, and it makes me so sad. Makes me so sad, but that's where we're at. I'm old. I'm old, dude. He's great live. Just saw him. Oh, really? I don't know if I've seen Matthew West or not. Maybe. It's very likely I've seen Matthew West. I've been to enough evangelical concerts that surely. All right, let's do a quick little sound check. Quick little sound check just to make sure we sound okay. We'll get right into it and go straight into our theater room right after. I'll be around in the chat. You can feel free to talk to me there, or you can just hang out until after the video, and it'll be an open AMA. You can ask me about ministry. You can ask me about the sermon. You can ask me about games. We can talk more about all the wonderful things that we've talked about so far. Whatever floats your boat, we can make happen. See how we're sounding today. There is no guilt here. It could even be a little louder. There is no guilt here. There is no shame. Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll do. Okay, let's enter this time of contemplation, and feel free to sing along if you know the song. If not, do not feel the need to sing along. It is just fine. Can be just a time of contemplation to kind of center us in this space so that we're able to focus on what is ahead instead of whatever gaming thing you might have just come from, because, you know, we're all gamers and Twitch is weird, and there are a lot of different categories, and this is one of the rarer ones. There is no guilt here. There is no shame, no pointing fingers, there is no blame. What happened yesterday has disappeared. The dirt has washed away, and now it's clear. There's only grace, there's only love, there's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. There's nothing left now. There's only grace. You're starting over now. You're starting over now, under the sun. You're stepping forward now. A new life has begun. Your new life has begun. There's only grace. There's only love. There's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. There's nothing left now. There's only grace. If you should fall again, get back up and get back up. Reach out and take my hand. Get back up, get back up, and get back up again. Oh, get back up again. There's only grace. There's only love. There's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. It's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. There's nothing left now. There's only grace. There's only love. There's only mercy, and believe me, it's enough. It's enough. Your sins are gone without a trace. There's nothing left now. There's only grace. 2022 was a pretty amazing year for gaming, as most years have been for a while now, but perhaps the two hallmarks of the year capped the beginning and end quite nicely. We started 2022 with Elden Ring, and we wrapped it up with God of War Ragnarok.
Open your heart to their suffering.
God of War has been hotly anticipated since the 2018 smash hit, and folks were waiting with bated breath to see just how many times Kratos would say,
Boy, I told you, boy.
But perhaps the best bit of the game for me was knowing what we were in for by the title alone, Ragnarok. And this game did not disappoint in exploring all the complexities of this mythical term. If Kratos' story since the refresh has been one of redemption, then Atreus' story has been one of destiny, or rather, defying that destiny. For this nerdy sermon, we're going to explore a bit about the relationship between purpose and destiny, how they relate, and how Kratos and Atreus' story can teach us how to focus on the right stuff as we move forward towards whatever's ahead. Let's talk about it. Folks, welcome to Checkpoint Church, where nerds, geeks, and gamers come together to talk about faith, games, and sweeping the game awards before just missing the mark for GOTY. I am your nerd pastor, Nate. If you like these weekly deep dives, be sure to sub, hit that bell, and find out when our next one drops. Folks, as always, we're going to start this video with our scripture. Our scripture reader for today is Zando Calrissian. I'm going to throw it over to him, reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 32 through 45. He'll be reading from the NRSV UE. That's our preferred translation. It's what's going to be on the screen. If you have a translation you prefer to use, feel free to use that one as well.
From Matthew 25, 32 through 45. All the nations will be gathered before him, and will separate people from one another, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put sheep at his right hand, and the goats at the left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you? And the king will answer them, Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me. Then he will say to those at his left hand, You who are accursed, depart from me in the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not give me clothing. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they will also answer, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not take care of you? Then he will answer them, Truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me.
Okay, let's start with the obvious. What is God of War Ragnarok? Well, it's the latest release from Sony Santa Monica. Ragnarok continues the story from the franchise refresh that we got back in 2018 that saw Kratos' story be added upon with a family, namely his son Atreus. By the way, spoilers for the 2018 game, but I'll try to keep light on spoilers for this game since it is pretty beefy and has tons of great twists. Atreus is half giant, 1/4 god and 1/4 mortal, and is mysteriously referred to as Loki. In the prior game, Kratos and Atreus kill the Aesir god Baldur, who is the son of Odin and Freya, who both play a heavy role in this game, and upon Baldur's death, they receive a vision of this thing called Ragnarok. Ragnarok, also known as the Twilight of the Gods, is this huge eschatological or end times event that pops up often in Norse mythology as this great war that will see to the death of many great figures like Odin, Thor, and other high-tier gods. Other gods such as Kratos, of course. In Fear, this begins the era of hiding for Kratos and Atreus that starts off the events of this game. But this very concept actually sends us down the rabbit hole of fate, destiny, and what you actually do with that information. For some, they see fate as fate as fate. The prophesied events of Ragnarok must come to pass exactly as they ought to have happened. For others, destiny is a bit more malleable. A vision of the future is just that, seeing things that would happen if nothing changed from this moment forward. But if the wind of a butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane in the future, surely fate is not set in stone. This becomes the ultimate question posited by God of War Ragnarok. Given that it's a great game and a great story, it should be fairly obvious that the prophesied information in Ragnarok is not going to come 100% true. Just the fact that Kratos and Atreus have successfully hid until our game begins is proof enough of that. So ultimately, the question isn't how will we evade destiny, but who will evade destiny the best. We have several figures at play in this story and in the events of the game, but the clear heavy hitters fall on two sides. We have Kratos and Atreus, our heroes, protagonists that we get to play as, and then the antagonists, Odin and Hemsworth 3.0, also known as Cool Thor. In a story where everyone wants to save their own skin and lie through their teeth to get there, we get to experience the back and forth of trust, betrayal between all of these characters who have been thrown into the mix. Given that we are playing as Kratos, our main goal is to figure out how we are to defy fate the best in order to survive this supposed prophecy the longest. But as we'll hear in the words of Mimir late game, I don't know if we're breaking fate
or fate's breaking us.
With that, let's shift gears into another prophesied moment, but this time one with a bit more weight to it than just pixels and code. Our scripture for today comes from the Gospel of Matthew and is one of the more famous moments where Jesus offers up a foretelling instance of the eschatological or end time story for the kingdom of God. In this story, we have the Son of Man who has officially ascended to the throne and has gathered all of the nations before him. He starts to divide them up like a round of Red Rover. On the right go the sheep, on the left go the goats. Then he looks to the sheep and he says, hey, all of you are welcome in the kingdom. Pick up your inheritance, lavish in the finest decadence. And here's why you get to do that. You fed me when I was hungry. Gave me something to drink when I was thirsty. You welcomed me when I was a stranger. You clothed me when I was naked. You took care of me when I was sick. And you visited me in prison. And the sheep are all like looking around and they're like, one sheep decides to step up, be brave and humble, and kind of says, hey, Lord, when did we ever do that? The king then responds to them and says, when you did it for the least among humanity, you did it for me. Then he looks to the goats on his left and he says, you are all destined for the worst of the worst, for cursed burning for your wickedness. Why? Because you didn't do any of the stuff I just listed. No food, no drink, no welcome, no clothes, no care, no visiting. The goats waste no time. Hey, whoa. When did we ever see you like that and not help you? The king responds, when you didn't do it for the least of these, you didn't do it for me. Other than a mic drop moment, Jesus is laying out so much in this passage, but it really is only an illustration of what Jesus has said repeatedly throughout the gospel message. It's not about just doing good. It's about being good. Suffice it to say that people in the ancient times of Christ were equally obsessed with the end times that we still see today. This kind of piggybacks on last week's sermon on Pokemon and the eschatological assumptions that we often make there too. People didn't really want Jesus to come and tell them how to be better. They wanted a vengeful Jesus to ride into town on a white stallion prepared to slaughter all the people that they didn't care for. Jesus instead offers up a vision of the end time in this story. This is a sort of prophecy. This is exactly what the Jewish synagogue is asking for. Jesus, please prophesy to us. Please tell us how you're going to judge the world. Is it going to be the Jewish people versus the Gentiles? No. Jesus offers up instead an allegory, a metaphor, a parable of sorts. Sheeps and goats. No racist judgment allowed here. Jesus just made it about animals. Well, what about the sheep though, Jesus? Are they devout rule followers? Do they keep to the Torah? Are they clean? Do they pray unceasingly? And the goats, are they vile and evil and unclean? Are they outsiders who look and act differently than we do? We hate those people. No, Jesus instead tells of two that are nearly vanilla and without twinge and character at all. The only noticeable difference between the sheep and the goats in Jesus' story are their actions, as described by Jesus. The sheep's fed, gave drink, clothed, welcomed, visited, and cared for the least among humanity, and thus also did so to Christ. The goats did not. End of story. That's the judgment day. For all the hyped up megachurch pastors that you've heard rag upon that devastator Babylon and the vicious nature of the human condition on the sinful lives we lead and live, it's all excess and extra drama added on, sometimes by the apostles, but often purely by the imagination of a creatively tricky pastor. No. Jesus is clear about what measuring stick will be used for judgment, and it's barely at all about the judgment day anyway. Jesus doesn't have the decency to line them up one by one and let St. Peter at the pearly gates read from the big book of Santa's naughty list each sin and screw up they've ever made. No, a la carte for judgment. Jesus shops the sheep and goats in bulk at the Sam's Club. It's almost as if Jesus is telling this story to these people on purpose. It's almost as if this story isn't about Judgment Day at all. It's almost as if Judgment Day probably isn't a day at all. It's almost as if Jesus wants this story to be heard right now, right here, to make a change. Whenever we get to take a look at the two opposing sides of God of War Ragnarok, we see the shifting perspective of Kratos, the former god killer, and the stoic nature of the historic Odin, the All-Father, in full light.
You fear what you can never even hope to understand.
Odin is presented to us as a researcher, a student, a curious person constantly seeking to understand Ragnarok. Perhaps once he understands it, he might know how to prevent it, or better yet, he might know how to use it to his own avail. Now, Kratos might have seen that way in a former time, but Atreus and the family has shifted his concept of others.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general.
It's no longer about destruction, even for the god of war. The important work to be done is not about using Ragnarok, but preventing as much harm as possible from the aftershocks and prerequisites of Ragnarok. One could argue that Kratos will pursue what he must in this game so that he might be able to survive, but I'd be more willing to bet that he's far more concerned about leaving Atreus as well prepared as possible whenever he does pass, whether it's in this game or some other future entry. See, that presents the tonal shift. Understanding the end times versus understanding the self. Destiny, fate, knowledge versus purpose, calling, and perspective. Destiny has victims. Purpose has contributors. Kratos doesn't know what aspects of Ragnarok will come true or not. So instead, he knows that he is a father. And his role now is to educate and exemplify the best possible lifestyle for his son. Destiny unconsidered.
I am your father. I will always help.
He will do what he must to ensure that harm is avoided, but prepares constantly for battle and sacrifice, even during the downtime. With all of this in mind, what can we actually do with this information? What does this mean for us here today? At the end of the day, both the God of War and the God of All seem to agree on one major point. We are ultimately known by how we love others. Those are the relationships that we form that remain. Now, perhaps one of these two is more altruistic than the other, but the point ultimately remains. I actually find the sheep and the goats to be one of the most applicably useful scripture in existence. While love God and love neighbor might be more succinct, this passage provides a literal framework by which we might serve other people. Feed, give drink, clothe, welcome, visit, care for others as if they were Jesus because, well, they are. And it's not just literal food. Feed those who hunger for community, like we're doing at Checkpoint. Offer drink to those who are thirsty for genuine human connection. Clothe those who have never experienced love with abundant empathy. Welcome those who have been estranged from the church for far too long. Visit those who are imprisoned by their own mind in mental illness. Care for those who just need somebody to finally freaking care for them once in their lives. It's so easy that it's difficult. The blueprint is there. The framework exists. So if you're like Odin, gouge out your other eye that's focusing on getting what you want from some fictional, futuristic premonition, and instead live right now in a way that loves the least, the last, and the lost, because that is what you're actually being judged for. So what better way to defy destiny than to pave it yourself? Say like a digital church online for nerds, geeks, and gamers. That's pretty weird. Let's defy destiny together, just like Jesus would have wanted. So, whether you're a half giant, a knockoff Hades from Hercules, or just a parent with a scattered past, know that you're always welcome here at Checkpoint Church. Folks, thank you so much for watching this video. I so appreciate you taking time out of your busy week to join us on these nerdy deep dives every Sunday. If you want more of what Checkpoint Church has to offer, we are streaming every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and every other Friday over on Twitch. We're on Discord 24/7. If you want a fun community that talks about random things and participates in competitions like we did for the Game Awards, we have a Christmas party coming up. We got all sorts of stuff going on in the Discord. You can join both of those. And do me a favor, if you watched this far in the video, then odds are you liked this one at least a little bit. So if you'd let us know that you liked this one enough to watch to the end, please click that like button to let us know that, hey, this is pretty good. And even better, if you want to leave a comment down below, then you can answer this question. It's a bit of a different one for today. What has been your favorite nerdy sermon of the year and why? Get us your answer by next Monday, and I will also be dropping this question over in the Discord, but we're going to be working on a special video for the end of the year, kind of like we did last year, just a retrospective of the past year, and we would love to feature your answer in that video. So be sure to get them into us by next Monday, which is 8 days from this release. If you can get us in there by then, we'll be sure to include it in the video. I look forward to seeing what you guys have enjoyed from this past year. With that, we're Gamesy, you've got work to do, it sounds like. You got works to do. That's all right. So the reason we're doing that is because for those of you that might have missed it last year, we put out a retrospective video for our final sermon of the year. So that'll be coming out soon. So wanted to put that in the ether. Make sure we go ahead and get a lot of submissions and make sure people answer that question. So normally we don't watch past the why does this matter for you today during our Wednesday Nerdy Sermon Talkbacks, but I wanted to do that just for clarity. All of our videos are uploaded to our YouTube channel. So !YouTube should bring that up. If you haven't already gone over there and subscribed, we have all of them listed. We have season 3 is the ones we're kind of pulling from for this question. So if you want to try and pick out your favorite, be my guest, and we'll see what we can come up with. If you have to give a couple favorites, that's okay. But do me a favor. I'm going to do it right now because this will keep me honest. I'm going to make a section right now under the Nerdy Sermon forums that's going to be called Best Nerdy Sermon 2022 Submissions. And I'm going to say, please post your link and a brief explanation here for your submission. Thank you. Oh no, I need a new tag. We're going to tag it as all of them. Or no, we should tag it as like bonus. Yeah, we're going to tag it as bonus. Okay. So, submit them there. You can watch through them and remember a little bit. Let's see. We can go through them right now and just remember. I went through some of them earlier whenever I was talking about what I have and haven't actually finished. While I'm doing this, folks, feel free to ask any questions about the sermon or things that you might have liked. I know we had quite a few comments that I'll highlight of things that folks enjoyed.
What better way to kick off?
And I guess I could always just post the season 3 playlist, huh? Let's see. This is just the season 3 playlist if you want to go and scroll through with me. But this year we did Peter Parker, Mushoku Tensei, Pokemon Arceus, Ranking of Kings, Dress Up Darling, Sifu, Elden Ring, Batman, Turning Red, Coffee Talk, Demon Slayer Mugen Train, Sonic 2, Let Me Solo Her, Full Metal Alchemist, Violet Evergarden, Star Wars 4, Magikarp from Pokemon, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Stranger Things. We also did the song from Stranger Things, Running Up That Hill, Miss Marvel, Executioner and Her Way of Life, Thor Love and Thunder, Neon White, Nope, Licorice Recoil, Cult of the Lamb, She-Hulk, Summertime Renderings, Xenoblade 3, Rings of Power, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, Milgram, One Shot, Midnight Club, R.I.P., Chainsaw Man, Blue Lock, Sonic Frontiers, Wakanda Forever, Pokemon Scarlet, and God of War Ragnarok. Isn't that crazy? That's wild. That's so many sermons. Oh my goodness. I love all of those things. One nerdy sermon I enjoyed, Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel was a good one. Wakanda Forever was a good one. I think you've got a leaning here, Sneaky. You're a Marvel fan. Cult of the Lamb did get a sermon. That one got us a little bit of flack, but I think it's a strong one. So there you go. Maybe you have one to go back and watch, Gamesy. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Don't take it too seriously. It's just an opportunity to kind of reflect on the past year and where we've come from. And I'll talk a little bit. I'll make some announcements about like where we're headed in the coming year and all that sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of people give us flack because we actually played Cult of the Lamb a little bit on stream, and I think there were a lot of assumptions made about that game that weren't fair, and then there were a lot that kind of were, but we were able to draw out some good stuff. I'm of the firm belief that just about anything that comes out of someone's creative expression can be brought back to the gospel. I'm still learning, still growing, and I'm ready to be proven wrong. But so far, we have 3 seasons of content that have done that. Make a lot of people uncomfortable. And it did. It did. That's all right. I don't mind pushing the envelope. We talk about so many things that are uncomfortable for Christians. I mean, honestly, between Cult of the Lamb and My Dress Up Darling, I think My Dress Up Darling was probably more controversial, but it didn't get the same attention. People were just excited that we talked about My Dress Up Darling, but that's the only time I've ever. So for My Dress Up Darling, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's about a cosplayer who finds a person who works for a doll shop and recruits him. He's like an awkward, shy guy. Recruits him to be the seamstress essentially for her cosplay, and it's a romance manga that connects the two of them together. And so she's a cosplayer, right? So that's pretty risque. And there was one GIF in particular that Nikki put in there that I was like, Nikki, we're not going to be able to do that. Like that's a bridge too far. And so she wound up censoring it. But yeah, that's probably been our most risque of the year. Game chat in Christian circles can be interesting for sure. The line between unchristian and God using for good what was intended for evil is closer than some would like to believe, if it even exists at all. Yeah. I don't know. It's such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing. I am like, I'm probably leaning towards the it doesn't exist fence. I just haven't found it. I genuinely haven't found it. Something that is so clearly like downright etchy, right? Down like NSFW, like My Dress Up Darling, still had some redemption in it. I think that the gospel is so good and so wide reaching. That even in things that make us mad, uncomfortable, we can still bring it back. My big question is anything intended for evil? Some things certainly are, but I think that art has a tough time being intended for evil. I think you have to get down to some really violent and, if our three rules are to do good, do no harm, and strive to grow, that's what I would consider like demonstrably evil. Would be something that's seeking to do bad, to do harm, or to stop growth. That's not necessarily the be-all end-all, but that's a good way to start. It's like if something is doing harm, that's an outright like, okay, we need to stop. And so that's sometimes a caveat that I'll make at the beginning of like a nerdy sermon. So like if you have a history of struggling with sex addiction or pornography or anything like that, like probably don't watch My Dress Up Darling. Probably don't. And I'm fine saying that. Like that's going to do harm to you. But if you don't struggle with that, it's a good story. It's such a weird thing to talk about and to dance between. Cult of the Lamb, if you have a background of the occult that makes you tempted to get back into it or to question the power of God because of the occult behavior, or if it just makes you uncomfortable to consider those kind of things, then okay, that's probably not right for you. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that it's not right for anyone. It comes down to nuance and interpretation. Personal struggles and experience is a very important factor. Agreed. We could probably talk about that with God of War. God of War drops a lot of F-bombs. So if you grew up in an incredibly conservative home and maybe you were told that wordy dirds were super bad and they make you mad uncomfortable, you might not like God of War. It might distract from the story because it's doing harm to something that you've got to unpack. And so that might not be right for you. But there are others of you that have absolutely no problem with wordy dirds that are going to get so much out of the story. In our house we've been having a conversation about how Santa, Easter Bunny, and Tooth Fairy are pagan idols that represent hope, unconditional love, and innocence, showing how everyone is looking for hope and love. Sure. Santa especially is a great one because there's such a real-life parallel. Easter Bunny, it's a season that makes sense, but, not a great parallel. Tooth Fairy, that is off the ball. Good luck with that one. It sounds like you've done the work. You've done the hard work. But making the actual connection point is always tough. Yeah. I'm sure there's always a backing and a rooting and things that we can work with. But entering into those conversations at the right time and like addressing them in an appropriate way instead of a shameful way is gonna raise kids into the like future of where they are able to play a game that has the F word strewn throughout it, and they aren't distracted by a feeling of shame and guilt, but instead able to experience a genuinely good story. So yeah, the conversation piece is important and how we address it. Too many of my friends growing up just grew up in homes where they were like not allowed, where it was just like outright banned and not explained. So yeah, the more we can explain, the more we can back up our reasoning. I actually feel incredibly lucky in my life that I was the third born, because as the third born child, and also a whoopsie, because I was 7 years younger than my brother, so my parents were done, and then I was just like, hello, it's me. And so not to say my parents didn't care, but they definitely were hands off. They were done. Like they were done raising kids. They weren't interested in raising a third child. And so they were gonna raise the third child, but they were gonna do it as hands off as possible. And so since I was so like hands off, like I was watching Will and Grace whenever I was like 7. I've been watching shows that have been like made for adults since I was a little kid. And so words do not bother me in the slightest. But you'll notice I censor myself quite a bit. And so that's something that I don't just do that at Checkpoint. I censor myself in my life as much as I can, especially around my children, obviously. But even in general, I grew up in a fairly loose verbiage household, but even still, I still have that proclivity. So I got to work through that in myself. And when do I feel guilty and when do I not? Am I only allowed to say word eaters whenever I hit my thumb with a hammer, you know? Ay, ay, ay. Where this conversation has gone, I could have never predicted. The movie The Guardians with North and Jack gives each of them a theme. My kids love the movie, so we've been able to work off that. Very cool. I've never seen it. Wasn't allowed in my house. I found out what the F word meant from my 7th grade English teacher. Got you. Yeah, well, I definitely knew what it meant before then. But yeah. It's just interesting. It's so interesting to me. Something that genuinely I want to pursue in the next year or two here at Checkpoint is that I feel like we have so many folks that are parents, and I'd love to work with that. I'd love to talk more about what that looks like to equip nerdy parents. Really, just every avenue. I would love to equip nerdy parents. We have a huge chunk of nerdy dads that I think would be really interesting to work within. And then my spouse in particular is a great example of married to a nerd, but not a nerd. And so I feel like there's an avenue for that as well, of like just spouses that aren't nerds to get together and talk about their nerdy spouses. That could be something fruitful. So I don't know. Those are all things that I'm super curious about. For sure. My wife doesn't get nerd culture at all. Yeah, it's exactly the same. And it's tough, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you got to respect that we all have our different hobbies and our interests and our passions. And she certainly respects mine. Totally commiserate. And that's a great word. Commiserate is exactly what would be being done. It's all of these are viable futures for us. We just got to figure out what makes sense and who would be interested. My parents were closed on lots of subjects like porn, sex, language, games, and so much more. We've taken on a more ask me anything approach with our kids. That's good. AMA at the dinner table. My hubs likes games but doesn't get the pull of MMORPG, Twitch, etc. Got you. What's up, Kuro? How we doing? Welcome in. We're talking about the things we don't talk about. Sick again? No, Kuro, come on. You gotta pull through. We gotta finish this. I feel you though. My November, I was sick the entire time. December so far has been all right. We're halfway through and I'm holding on strong. But November, I was sick the entire month. So I feel for you. But I'm doing good today. We've had a great chat. Had a very good conversation in today's stream. These Nerdy Sermon Talkbacks are becoming some of my favorite streams. I don't know about you guys, but they're some of my favorites because I feel like we're just able to talk and chat and hang out. I'm able to drink my coffee. I came in through the Cameron Raid, just got out of a work meeting. What's up, Dio? Welcome in. We only got a couple more minutes before you're going to be a part of another raid here. Live by myself and only have to go to work. Might as well be a bubble. Well, I think someone is in your walls, Kuro. Happy Halloween. I think a spooky ghost, a spooky sick ghost is living in your walls, dude. Get out of the house. The bug is in the house. The sickness is coming. The sickness is coming from within the house. Wolfler77. Is it Wolfler? WUFLER 77? Sure. Is that Nick? Nick Wolf? in the Discord? Is that one and the same? I feel like that name just feels very familiar. Yippers. Rock on, absolutely. Yep, happy to do that. Happy to raid. Happy to raid somebody new. Did everybody get their Twitch recaps? I don't know if y'all have been connected yet. At least through or is it? Are you saying nope now? It's not that person. Understood. I thought you were saying Yeppers, but I think you were saying Yeppers to the spelling. Has everybody done their Twitch recap? If you haven't done your Twitch recap, let's see. This is mine. It's not that person. Understood. This is mine from Twitch. This is our Twitch recap from Checkpoint Church. My favorite streamers are LTN, Jate, Moviga, and Bubba LTN. You don't know how to see yours? You should have a little link. So like on your Twitch, it should have like a little recap button. Top categories are Just Chatting, Music, Destiny, and Marbles. So Destiny and Marbles are both from LTN. Jate doesn't play a game consistently enough to earn any of the top categories. Bubba doesn't even stream anymore. So I guess I was watching Bubba a lot at the beginning there. Top emotes are, of course, You Matter. The lol, I do that a lot. I don't do that smiley face a lot, so I don't know where that's coming from. The heart and the high I do with every message I come to. 277 hours. Love it. All right, now let's see. This is my personal... Or no, this is our channel. This is our channel one. We broadcasted 178 times this year. We had 3.81k hours watched, which is 150 days watched. Our highest CCV was 62. That was probably during a checkathon. Total subscribers that we gained was 171. Our total followers 1.25. Our channel points 3.19 million. Chat messages were 62.9 thousand. And yeah, this adds up. Just Chatting, Arceus, Neon White, and Pokemon White. And those emotes make way more sense, but still the smiley face is weird. I wonder if that's Perry. Who uses that? It's got to be Perry. And I don't have my personal one. If I had my personal one, I would show you guys that one as well. It's pretty similar to what you're seeing here, except for add maybe 30 bats into the mix. Twitch recap was very surprising as a data analyst. Super interesting to me. Oh, if you like data, I got tons of it, DM. We put out data on Checkpoint in particular every quarter in our level 2 group, which is just people who have moved the mindset from being served by Checkpoint to serving Checkpoint. And so in that mindset, I give them as much data as I possibly can. And it is fascinating, the stuff that we discover. It is just fascinating. The growth that we discover, the areas of growth, the particular areas that grow faster than others, the bursts and booms and where things shift and change. And personally, my favorite data to look at in the past couple of years has been TikTok. This church is a team. Not really, but sort of. We've taken a step towards that. Officially, on paper, it is still me. I am the church planter, so I am the only employee, if you will, although that's a businessy term that I probably wouldn't use and the conference wouldn't use. But I'm appointed to this church plant, and we started level 2 last August. We started about a year ago, a little over a year and a couple months ago, a year and some change. And level 2 is purely a mindset shift. So it's not like an official leadership team. I don't put too much responsibility on any of those members. All it is a mindset shift from serving or being served by to serving, and that's it. So no expectations, no responsibilities. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to fill out anything extra. All you get is some extra information. You get the opportunity to attend a lot of things that a lot of others don't. It is 100% only opportunity, not obligation. So that in that sense, it's not really a team because there is no responsibility put on their shoulders. We have some people that opt in to more opportunity. So there might be like our guardians, for instance, they have more responsibility than others. Our finance team, right, that probably has more responsibility, but not really yet because we're still figuring out what that even looks like. But level 2 itself, very much just like hey, I'd like to learn more because I want to serve. Yeah. I'd love to move into that group, but I'm stretched already, and God just added a personal outreach to my plate. Maybe don't one day. Yep. Well, it is totally up to you. Totally up to any of you if you ever want to pursue that. But really, it is just an opportunity and nothing more. No obligation, no responsibility, just extra Discord channels that you can look at and plenty of opportunities to latch onto if you want. None of it is obligatory. But I feel that. I feel it. We have 3 groups of people for level 2. We have people that click immediately. So they're like, they join the Discord, they learn about level 2, and they join it the next day. We have the people that are like the slow burners, who are like, I'm interested, but I just don't have time right now. And then eventually they cave. And then we have the people that are serving churches already that are like, I don't know if it's appropriate for me. And I'm like, yes, it's perfectly appropriate. This is not membership. We are not a chartered church, so you are not transferring membership. You are not joining anything. You are purely opting in to opportunity. What's up, Classic Hill? How we doing, Brian? Byron. You're just in time to join a raid. Ooh, finance team, now I'm curious. I'm a bookkeeper, so I perk up with finances and taxes. Well, it's something we're very curious about. So I don't want to get too much in the weeds with our red tape and all that sort of stuff, but suffice it to say that we are grant-based currently through the conference, and so a lot of our funding comes from the conference, and that will stop being the case starting this year. We still are receiving a lot of funding, but it is not full. So we've got a lot of impetus moving towards what it looks like to actually create sustainable ministry online, and nobody's doing it totally sufficiently. There are definitely some instances of people that are doing it really well, like God Squad, but nobody's doing it perfectly, and nobody has it figured out. I'll say that's a good word for it. Nobody's got the market cornered. Nobody's got it all together, and so we are constantly having conversations about what it even means to sustain ministry online, because it is so different, right? We don't pass the plate. We don't do a lot of those things, but hey, at normal churches, they don't have a subscription model built into your Twitch platform, right? There's a lot. LTN is probably close, and God Squad Church. Yeah, LTN does the missionary model. So how do you actually fund a church, a sustainable like church? If LTN sustains ministry within a missionary model, God Squad does it within a church model, what does Checkpoint look like? These are the questions we're asking. So if you want to know more, Hunter Fam, it's always there. Take your time. Sneaky says, as a level 2 member, we have great conversations about Checkpoint, how we want to see Checkpoint grow. It's a great group to be a part of. I agree. I concur. We got to find somebody to raid because I got so much to do today. But I appreciate everybody being here. Classic Hill, good man. I missed the God of War talk. You did. But in all honesty, we only talked this much about God of War because we talked so much more about so many other great things. Stained, you're just in time for a raid. But the sermon is always on our YouTubes. So yes, we are. I gotta get it queued up is what I meant by find it. What was I saying? It's always available in VOD format, and then also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch along, it all is there and exists in that space, and we'd love to have you watch that over there. I thought this was a good one. I hope that you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed all the wonderful conversation and all the good stuff going on. It's taken a lot of turns that I love. Wolfler77, music on acoustic guitar. I love that. I love music on acoustic guitar. Folks, we are Checkpoint Church. We are really a church for nerds, geeks, and gamers, and I am Nerd Pastor Nate. I'm really a pastor of this church plant community that we are planting online. We are live on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other Friday with wonderful stuff, a sort of variety of things. But if you want more of Checkpoint Church right here, right now, our Discord is 24/7 active all the time. We'd love to have you join our Discord and learn more about what we're doing over there because we are always there. And then every Sunday, we drop a YouTube video like the one you just watched at the beginning of this stream. That is our nerdy sermon. Our YouTube has other stuff too, but the main use of that is always going to be our nerdy sermon dropping every Sunday at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. And we believe 3 things to be true about every single one of you out there, regardless of whether or not you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate the church, hate Christians, hate any of that stuff. None of it changes these 3 things that we believe to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you, wants to know you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here on Twitch, Discord, and YouTube, is building community to let you know that you are loved. And number 3, that you, yes, you, no matter who you are, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, we're going to go raid Wolfler77, who is playing some music with his kiddo, it looks like, and that's wonderful. We're going to start that raid. If you would do me a favor and go spam some You Matters in the chat to let Wolfler and this little boyo know that they matter, and that would be great. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place, for something completely different. We're going to be continuing on with a game called Off at 9 o'clock Eastern here on the Twitch channel, or I hope to see you right now over in the Discord, wherever it may be. I'll see you then. Until next time, bye-bye!